Scott Holiday here, and welcome back to Plus 2 Wrestling. I got a lot to get through today, so we're going to jump right into it. Let's plug in. Like I said, I got a lot to go through, so I'm going to do this one as quickly as possible. August 16th, that's a Friday at Philomoka in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. High Tension Wrestling joins with Pro Wrestling Explosion to present Solar Slam. Two companies to bring the biggest party in the solar system. There you will see CC Boost go one-on-one with Dylan Mesh of Ethan Wild LLC. The very next day in Love Park, that's August 17th, it is a free show. It is CZW We Love Wrestling. Join us for a free show in Love Park. The bell rings at 6 o'clock and the doors don't open because it's in a park. That's just kind of how parks work. August 23rd, a brand new promotion, Paranormal Wrestling, presents its first show, All Is Subject to Change. That will be at the Greater Barrington VFW, post 8348 in Sheffield, Massachusetts at 8 p.m. The card is subject to change. And also be sure to join us on the very next day, August 24th, in the Berkshires back in Sheffield, Massachusetts for the Festival of Friendship. That will be at the Bushnell Sage Library at 1:30 p.m. So basically all subject to change will be a darker, more violent show, and the Festival of Friendship will be a festival of friendship. So it's a bit lighter. Like, what could go wrong at a Festival of Friendship? Don't answer that. So if you're a fan of this here show, you might notice that I do tend to skew more towards AEW. Like, I still watch some WWE, but AEW is my appointment television. And then I watch WWE, and I watch a lot of indie stuff, and I don't really mess with Ring of Honor or Impact or TNA or whatever they want to call themselves these days, and I barely even touch the NWA. But I think that's all about to change. I personally believe that next year will be the biggest year in the WWE. And I'm going to get on my soapbox to tell you why. So basically, I want to start by telling you why I'm not as big of a WWE fan that I used to be. Because I used to be a hardcore WWE fan. This was back in, 2017, 2018, back when there really wasn't any competition. And I would watch all 3 hours of Monday Night Raw every single week. I would actually sit on my couch with my laptop open, and I used to do something on R² Circle called the Kayfabe Grading Report, or something along those lines, where I would write grades on every match and segment based on how believable in the world of kayfabe it was. And people would get infuriated with me because I would give an A+ rating to a Braun Strowman squash match because it made a lot of sense, and then I would give low scores to like a Daniel Bryan match because he kicked out of a finisher and that shouldn't happen. I used to be not the greatest when it came to opinions like that, but you could probably find that somewhere on R² Circle if you really searched. And this was very much a dark period in the world of the WWE. There was a lot of people we really wanted to see, and they just weren't being used correctly. I was a huge Dolph Ziggler fan, and after his cash-in, the night after WrestleMania 29, he never really got to that height again, no matter how much I wanted it. So slowly, I went from watching it every week to watching it when I could. And then slowly, it just changed to I didn't watch it anymore. I would watch the premium live events on the WWE network, but Raw and SmackDown just stopped being needed television in my life. And that was fine. I kind of just stepped away, and it's not like I was actively avoiding it. It's just I could find something better to do on a Monday night. And if I couldn't, sure, I'd throw it on. But during that time, something else happened. You see, me and my roommate decided that we only really needed cable for a few reasons. We needed Comedy Central, we needed Cartoon Network, we needed the Food Network, and we needed USA so we could watch Monday Night Raw. And then, randomly, our cable company decided to restructure the cable package. We lost Cartoon Network. We lost the Food Network. We still had Comedy Central, we still had USA, but two of our favorite channels were gone. And this led to us watching less TV in general. Our options were to either swallow that bitter pill and deal with it, or upgrade our cable service so it would cost another $30 a month. We decided not to do that, and we decided we would live without our beloved Food Network and Cartoon Network. And then, in 2020, a big thing happened. And this was the thing that turned me off from the WWE pretty much forever. I moved. See, when I moved in 2020, I was no longer in that deal with my roommate, and now the cable was going to be in my name instead of my roommate. So it was my decision on what I was willing to pay for. And I could subscribe to cable and pay that monthly fee, or I could choose not to. And I knew I wasn't going to get Cartoon Network and the Food Network again, and I liked Comedy Central, but was I really going to pay for cable just to watch Raw when I was barely even watching Raw anymore? And the answer was no. So I didn't get cable. And that's the moment I stopped being a true blue WWE fan. More importantly, it's the moment that the WWE couldn't win me back. Because it was no longer on a Monday night I could turn on Raw. The WWE would have to convince me to call my cable company and sign a new contract and sign up for a year of service just to watch Raw. And the WWE was not going to be able to do that because I had already broken the habit. I had gotten used to a world where I don't have cable. Plus, I was already paying for so many streaming services. I was paying for the WWE Network, which then turned into paying for Peacock and Netflix and Hulu and IWTV and Paramount Plus and Disney Plus and Amazon Prime and the only streaming network you actually need, Dropout.
Wrestling.
With all those bills and all of those shows streaming at my fingertips, cable became more and more of a nuisance. It was harder to use. It was less appealing. And with no advertisements really telling me about other things on, say, Comedy Central or MTV or one of the other networks I would have gotten had I had cable, there was really no reason for me to ever go back. And you know what? That's common. The number of people with cable is steadily declining. In 2019, in America, 84 million homes had cable. Today, we're down to 58 million. And it's expected that by 2028, we'll be down to about 40 million homes with cable. And this is why the WWE will have the biggest year in 2025. Because starting in January, Raw moves to Netflix. And I think a lot of people have underestimated what this means. First off, Netflix is in way more homes. Worldwide, Netflix in 2019 was at 140 million homes. Today, they're in 260 million homes. Now, I said that's worldwide. How many subscriptions do they have just in the US? Well, very conveniently, today, there are about 84 million Netflix subscriptions in the United States. Conveniently, the same number of homes that had cable in 2019. And that number continues to rise. Netflix, most popular show right now, believe it or not, is, without a doubt, scrolling and trying to figure out what you want to watch. I've spent hours on that show. I binge it constantly. It's probably my biggest during dinner show. And what's going to happen is a lot of lapsed fans will see the WWE there. And they'll think, oh, I used to be a big wrestling fan. Let me check this out. Oh, it's going to be live here. And that's going to restart the habit of watching Monday Night Raw. Now, you might be saying, Scott, this also requires a lot of people moving from watching it on cable to watching it on Netflix. Is that something that the average wrestling fan is going to be comfortable doing? Will this cause a lot of people to subscribe to Netflix? Well, Netflix already has a lot of reasons other than the WWE for you to subscribe. So most people probably already have Netflix. And those who don't, they will probably be encouraged to subscribe. On top of that, Netflix is cheaper, doesn't require a year-long contract like cable does, and the way that cable tried to get its teeth back into me was they told me that if I subscribed, they would throw in a subscription to Netflix. Across the country, many cable providers provide a subscription to Netflix with their service. So many people who already have cable already have Netflix. And sure, there will be those who do not make the jump. There are those that are in areas where streaming is not capable or a plausible plan for their service structure, and they will miss out on Monday Night Raw. However, the USA Network will be picking up SmackDown. So a weekly show will still be on a network that they already have. Now, there is, of course, the chance that the people who only have network television, that don't have cable, don't have streaming services, are now losing the chance to watch SmackDown on Fox, one of the few channels that they have. Well, that's also being replaced with NXT. NXT is going to network. NXT is going to be on the CW. Now, the jump from watching SmackDown every week on Fox to the CW to watch NXT is going to be a harder transfer. But it is no means going to be damaging to the WWE. This deal is going to bring back a lot of lapsed fans while being convenient to all the current fans of the WWE. On top of all of this, there's an extra bonus that it is going to remove Raw from a lot of conversations. It seems like every day I turn on my YouTube to watch my wrestling news, people are arguing over one thing: ratings. What are the numbers for AEW, for NXT, for Raw, for SmackDown? What are the demos? How did they do from 18 to 24? This was not a thing that we used to care about. And I believe that this is a very damaging conversation because you are entirely assigning merit to how good something is based on how many people just so happen to be watching. It has no critique of the actual content of the show. You can make the argument of, MJF wasn't on the show, so not as many people watched it. Sure, you can make that argument, but in the end, it doesn't talk about the quality of the product. It is a damaging conversation that is affected by so many other things besides the quality of the product. Was there a football game? Was there a basketball game? Were they rescheduled for other times? By having Raw go to Netflix, they're removing themselves from that conversation. Netflix does not release their streaming numbers. They'll tell you what the top 10 movies streaming of the week are, but they won't tell you how many actual views that thing is getting. By removing Raw from that conversation, we will not waste time when discussing Raw discussing how they did in the ratings. Instead, we will only discuss the product itself, which I believe is invaluable for the WWE. I think WWE is poised to have one of the most successful years in 2025. And you know what? I think Netflix is as well. So, there's a stock tip for you as well. But that's my thoughts on what's going to be going on with the WWE in the future. Can you tell that I haven't had a good night's sleep and I'm very low energy? Let me know in the comments down below. See how I just removed myself from the conversation of whether or not I'm right or not? Feel free to sound off in the comments below about this topic as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully these episodes will come out weekly like they're supposed to. I've missed you all. Thank you for hanging in there. And I will see you all soon. And I hope you have a good day.